Welcome everyone to the founder AMA of Voluntary today. I'm Arnab Naskar, co-founder and the business lead of STOKR. Today we have Adam Schneider from Voluntary. Welcome, Adam.
Hello.
Last week, Voluntary started the STO on STOKR. The security token offering of Voluntary is issuing a unique digital securities called Baker, quite unique for a bakery industry. And good choice of name, Adam, for that.
Thank you.
In this webinar, we will be discussing about Voluntary, its business, its vision, where they are with the STO, vision of D.D. Schneider, who is actually the visionary behind the entire project and who is also a baker himself. And we'll be chatting more about the STO also. So Adam, before we kick into Voluntary and what you guys are doing on the STO, would you like to give our audience some introduction about who you are and what made you start a bakery business in Dubai?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Adam Schneider. I've been into Bitcoin cryptocurrency space for the past 10 years now. And I decided to open a bakery with my dad in the UAE because he's a baker. And it's the primary reason why we came in the UAE in the first place. He wanted to open a bakery in Dubai, which he did. Sadly, didn't work out because of the partners he was with. So he decided to leave that company and then stay to work in the UAE. But now that we have the occasion to work on this project as a family, we want to do that.
So you actually moved from France to Dubai, right?
Yes, we moved from France to Dubai I did personally more than 12 years ago. My dad came here 14 or 15 years ago, yeah.
And how are you finding UAE at the moment? Because a lot of things are changing geopolitically also, the market-wise, how things are growing over there.
The UAE is great. Honestly, Dubai is a love or hate relationship. Either you love it or you hate it. But the thing is, concerning this particular business and this particular sector, is that it's really growing since the last 2 years. Somehow the pandemic didn't really damage the appetite from investors and businesses to start in the UAE. Actually, there is more and more demand for bakeries to open in the UAE and in Dubai in particular. And I think it's a good market. It's a market we've known for years. It's a market we know we can succeed because there is a clear lack of quality overall, and that's what we want to bring. Because I really miss eating good quality baking products.
So, for example, you are for definitely a very interesting background of the French bakery because your father was very much into the space, and you have also personally have lived the French bakery world in France. But if I also see from the UAE side, the Emirate, the UAE cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi and others, they have also a strong baking culture themselves, right? And how do you differentiate? How do you think that, okay, that you can bring a French bakery line or a French bakery product into the market, which is already a very strong bakery industry there?
So one of the big thing in the UAE and in Dubai in particular, it's that there's a lot of competition in that particular business. Most businesses are big companies that mostly focus on the business side. So they focus on B2B, so for hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, whatever. So they sell their products at industrial scale. The project we're working on with my dad is more focus on the consumer side, so direct sales to consumers. And we're focusing controlly on the competitors we have already in the market. We're focusing on quality, which is something they do not. They compete mostly on prices. And even with the prices that we currently see here in Dubai and in the UAE, there is margins high enough for us to make quality while still matching the pricing. So that's what we want to do.
But do you think that you have to create a different taste profile for those people who are into that market? Or do you think they have already that taste profile for this high quality products? How do you see that?
Yes and no. So for people that have been here for a long time, and for people that I've lived in the region for most of their life, it will be something they will have to get used to like to have them like realize the quality they've been missing. But for the last 2 years, I won't say thanks, but that will be a bit inappropriate. But because of the pandemic, a lot of people started coming to Dubai and the
Mhm.
UAE since the last 2 years because like we were relatively free of restriction. So there's a lot of new people that come from Europe, the States, and countries where they are used to having like certain standard quality wise regarding food products. And all those people are not yet used to the bad quality they find here in the UAE. So being able to launch by the end of the year would be would allow us basically to get all those people that are already used to quality products, and then building having other people get used to that quality too.
Perfect. No, I think that makes total sense because I think personally also I have been to Dubai a number of times and I felt, a lot of expats are coming also to that market. And the last couple of years that also have been already exposed, those kind of people have already been exposed to the French bakery products in their home country or somewhere else. And I think there can be interesting demand if it's rightly placed in the right market. I totally agree on that. Regarding, like the business, I think if you can give a little bit background more about who are the, the main co-founders or the people behind this project, that will be really helpful other than yourself.
Sure, yes. I'm currently working on this project with my dad. So my dad's been a baker for all his life. His dad was a baker, so it's like a family tradition. My granddad had his own bakery before he passed away when in France, and my dad started learning from his dad, and then he just continued all his life working in that sector. And he worked in multiple countries, worked in France, worked in the US, worked in the UAE. For the last 2 years also, he was working in Malta. So he's used to different markets. He's used to different kind of products. He's used to different kind of dough you will use and different raw materials. So he's like master of his craft regarding being able to adapt to any circumstances and any challenge we might face as a company.
So it's a family business that you're relaunching it in the Middle East countries,
More or
right?
less, yeah, it was the plan. It was the reason my dad came because there was an opportunity back in 2008 and 9 to open a French bakery in the UAE, and it worked great at the time when my dad was working on this project. Um, Sadly, the partners he was with they had disagreements, so he decided to leave. But now that there is the occasion to go again together, me and him, to start this company, I think it's a good it's a good time for us to go again with this project. Yeah.
And how many years your father is really working outside the French market and into the French bakery industry? How many years roughly?
So in the UAE, he worked at least 14 years in the UAE and 2 years in Malta, and also maybe a year or two in the US, but that was a long time ago.
Mhm.
So for concerning the UAE market, which is like what we're gonna focus on anyway, he has a long experience, and the thing is, a lot of people that you would bring, for example, right from France, they will not be able to. Um, Even if they're really good at their work, they will not be able to uh, give you quality
Mhm.
products because there's a lot of things that influence the quality of the product you're going to get, from the dough you're going to use, the flour you're going to use, the water you have here, because it's a different quality of water than you would have in France, for example. Then you have to take
Mhm.
into consideration the temperature outside, the humidity that there is in the air. So all those factors are things that my dad had time to master and take into consideration to deliver the best quality products possible for this market. Yeah.
So I think like you touched a very interesting point, and I personally love cooking, and I have a very interesting perspective on cooking, different food items. And I think one thing which often I come across, when you're trying to do, a pizza and those kind of things, which require a specific temperature, moisture, water, the raw material specifically, it is very hard to recreate something which is outside the native ecosystem, right? So let's say if you're
Yep.
trying to do a kind of pizza outside Italy, maybe you do not get the right access to flour, or maybe the right access to water or humidity and something. And I think the same may be the issue also with the French bakery items, right? How do you tackle that challenge? How do you procure the raw materials? How do you, maintain a temperature for that audience, like for that market, that creates a product based on the quality that you are trying to achieve? Because in my understanding, what La Boulangerie is trying to establish is a differentiating factor based on the quality of the product, and the quality comes with all these elements. How do you tackle that?
So the thing is, we can't replicate 100% the product you will find in France. That would be almost impossible, because just from the temperature outside and the humidity, you will never get the same taste, regardless if you use the same flour, the same water, same kind of oven, etc. Because like the humidity and temperature outside will affect your products at the end of the day. So the thing my dad learned in his early days in the UAE was to get used and accustomed to the local flour that is mostly used here, the local raw ingredients, the water, etc., and getting used to all those factors to be able to create products that are that are of good quality, while still having a taste that is as close as possible to what you would find in France. It will never be the same, but it will be a good quality product nonetheless.
Sounds good. Sounds good. No, I think that then it's a very interesting question now comes. Let's move on to your business model, right? How do you position La Boulangerie in terms of the business model? Like, are you creating shops in the market, or you're creating some different supply chain innovation? Like, what is the key USP in terms of the business model that you're proposing here?
So our target is mostly like retail customers. We do not want to focus on B2B because that market is saturated, and usually clients in the B2B side are more focused on pricing rather than really heavy on quality. So it wouldn't make sense for us to target them. And regarding the retail customer parts, is one thing we've seen is that the market is dominated by mostly coffee shops that call themselves bakeries, because they do sell some bakery products, but they're mostly coffee shops. That's where they make most of their profits. So we want to bring back the French way of doing things, in the sense that you have your local bakery that make its products every day, and then you go to the bakery and you buy it. Obviously, it's not something that you can replicate 100% to the market. You need to adapt. One thing here that is really complicated to do is force people to, or ask people to come directly to your shop in the morning, for example, like you would do in France. It's not something that is possible here because of multiple reasons. First of all, the temperature, and like in the summer, it would be way too hot. And second, like Dubai is made to be a car-centric city, so it wouldn't make sense also for most people to just take their car to pick up breakfast. So we want to adapt to that by focusing heavily on deliveries, which is a heavy market here in the UAE. Like deliveries is one of the biggest market for food products of any kind, and to be able to focus on deliveries, we're gonna start with a production center that is going to be centralized in the heart of Dubai, for us to be able to deliver to most areas of Dubai. And then depending on how much we successfully raise on STOKR, we will have individual shops that will be delivered with fresh products directly from the production center, or unfinished products that will be finished on in the shop to make sure that the products stay fresh, that they don't end up frozen like our competitors might do, and to make sure that the customer doesn't lose in quality and doesn't lose in flavor and in anything related to the product itself. Yeah.
So Adam, I think one interesting question a lot of investors may ask, and a lot of your clients may ask, is how La Boulangerie is tackling the food waste problem, right? Which is a growing problem, and bakery industries can be particularly contributing to this problem, because most of the products that you create in the bakery industry cannot be consumed. The shelf life is very low. And as you are also focusing on the quality, I would expect the shelf life of your products are very low. So how do you tackling the food waste problem in La Boulangerie at the moment?
So we really do care about food waste, and it's something, even as a business, it doesn't make sense for us to not do anything to tackle it, because it's basically pure losses. So one thing bakers or cooks all around the world has been doing for thousands of years is that they reuse any product that is unused from the day before. That is tons of products of their existence coming from food waste, from trying to reduce food waste. So I think we want to bring back this philosophy of reusing unsold products in creating different products whatsoever. So for example, well, one way you could do it is like, if you have French baguettes that you didn't sell for the day, you could reuse it to make garlic bread, for example, like toasting it, making garlic bread out of it. That's like one example, one easy example, like how you could reuse an unsold product, for example. But like, there's tons of way to do it for each product. Obviously, some products you can't reuse them as easily, or you can't reuse them at all. So for those products, they will most likely end up either being given to people either working in the bakery or people working nearby. But any product that can be reused will be reused, because there is no reason to throw away something from which you can still recreate something else out of it.
Thanks for explaining this part, Adam. It's a very interesting point. Now, coming to the question regarding the Baker token or security token Baker that you're issuing, can you explain a bit more on the financial rights that the investors will get when they're participating in the security token offering of Baker?
Sure. So investors will get up to 20% of the revenue of the bakery, and up to 3 times the invested amount over a period of 5 years. Since the amount we're trying to raise is up to 2 million, like 500,000. So if you raise that maximum amount, the investors will get up to 3 times that.
So it's until 5 years they will get the 3 times, right? So
yes.
Annually, you will pay around 20% of your revenues, and whatever the difference will be left on the 5th year, you will pay that on the 5th year. Based on
yes, exactly.
Okay, I think then we are kind of at the end of our conversation. And also congratulations, Adam, for reaching the soft cap. You have already raised over 250,000 on STOKR. And genuine question is, when are you opening your first shop?
So the issue we faced here in Dubai for the last few months is that most landlords here don't want to have a production directly linked to a shop, which is probably why a lot of companies decide to just sell frozen goods. But to avoid this issue, we're going to start with a centralized production center at the Art of Dubai, and focus on retail delivery right away. And based on how much amount we successfully raised on STOKR, then we will make sure to have a shop overview, but to sell fresh goods still without having too much production like right in the shop, to avoid that overhead with the landlords.